Good morning. And welcome to the Unitarian Church of the Desert. I'm Ginger Hemingway, your worship associate for today. As we begin, we acknowledge that we are on the historic homelands of the various bands of Kaiwea people, and we honor the unique relationship that we hope emerges between our community and the indigenous people and their traditional territories. Let this acknowledgement serve as a reminder to recognize, honor, and reconcile and partner with the Kaiwea people, whose lands and water we benefit from today. In this congregation, we welcome people of all sexual orientations, gender identities, and of all ages and sizes. People of all economic statuses and professions, of all physical or mental abilities. People of all races and ancestries and cultures. We welcome you wherever you come from, whoever you love, whatever your immigration status or civic engagement. We welcome all those who will learn and grow with us as we commit together to embrace the rich and beautiful diversity of the world and to build a community centered in justice, compassion, and love. You are welcome here. We're glad you are here with us this morning. It is important to us here in this community to create a safe and healthy environment for everyone who gathers in worship, including those who have immunocompromised or other risk factors. A little bit of a mouthful there. Our COVID protocols about vaccination and mask use are in place because we wish to do everything we can to protect all of us. A reminder that masks covering your mouth and nose are required to attend in-person worship, preferably KN95 masks. If you arrive without one, we have some available at the welcome desk. Please choose to act for the health and safety of our community. Our service is always available streamed on our website if you need to observe from home. If you'd like to be on our email list to learn more about us and our programming, please contact us at admin, that's ADMIN, at uucod.org. That's admin, ADMIN, at uucod.org. Now we will ring our Tibetan bowl to begin our service and listen to our music for centering.
Good morning and welcome again. I'm Ian Riddell, and I have the honor and joy of serving this congregation as its minister. However you found us, however many times you've been here with us in person or online, welcome. We are a congregation grounded in our commitment to love and an evolving tradition that celebrates the richness and diversity and beauty of individual lives, and commits to working together to weave a tapestry made stronger and more vibrant by our collaboration and by the sharing of our lives and our visions for a thriving, loving, and just future for all of life. We gather together today with these words of the Reverend Sarah Stewart. Bring who you are as you enter our congregation this morning. Bring your best self and your struggling self. Bring your mistakes and your triumphs. Bring your shortcomings and your recommitment to good. Bring yourself here and open your heart to beauty, to truth, to the door that is open to the presence of love. Here in this congregation, we are trying to move forward together on the peaceable way. We're trying to hammer out division and hatred and all that separates one from another. We try. And we fall short. But held in love, we try again. We come together this morning as a congregation, as a community, to bow our heads in prayer, to raise our voices in songs, to remember our promises and vow to live by them once again. So I invite you to rise in body or in spirit, lift your voices in song as we sing our opening hymn, number 1020, Wo Ya Ya. The words are on the screen.
Before we go any further, I want to say thank you very much for bringing me the mask. I had left mine up here. I really do appreciate it. Chalice lighting and unison aspiration. May love be the spirit of this church. May the quest for truth be its sacrament, and sacrament be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. I've asked Margot to come light the biopop candle. We light these candles in solidarity with Black, Indigenous, and other people of color as they journey toward wholeness. May we, as a beloved community, work to dismantle racism and all forms of oppression. May we live our principles so that justice and dignity and equity for all prevail. Got a little reflection I've decided I thought I would share with all of you. Mistakes or miracles? Almost 25 years ago, I received a phone call that led to me having to make a decision that could change my life as I knew it. Do I take on the care of 3 small boys, ages 18 months, 3 years, and 5 years? Yes, they are my grandsons, but I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, alone, and I worked a full-time job, and I did not have any daycare at hand. I said yes, of course. With only 1 bed and no additional financial support, it did not take long to wonder if I was making a mistake. I recently read that God teaches us to say yes to life and yes to love. I reached out to others, often strangers, and I discovered the miracle in this experience. Doors opened that I did not know were there. I quickly learned that the boys filled a hole in my heart that I did not know I had. This story has much more to it, but what it shows me is that sometimes what looks like a mistake may be a miracle dressed differently. And now the ushers will come forward and take the offering to help us continue to be the little church that could.
I'm a little shorter than the rest. Good morning, I'm Joni Paddock, and this is my husband, Bill. First of all, we want to say thank you for your generosity this morning for our offering, and for those of you at home, if you would like to contribute to the offering, you can click on the link in the email you received on Friday or in the order of worship you would have received this morning. So we were asked to give a little testimony about why we are involved with UUCOD and why we pledge. As many of you know, I was raised in Massachusetts, and I was raised Catholic, and I began to question the teachings of that faith in my teens. I was later, very much later, introduced to Unitarian Universalism in the early 2000s. In New England, particularly in Massachusetts, there are many UU churches within a relatively short driving distance of most places you might find. So I attended services at several different congregations before discovering the one that was just about 3 miles from my house. It was only about 10 or 15 minutes into the service when I knew I had found my spiritual home. I went on to join the congregation later, about a year later, and I had some personal turmoil in my life at that time, and the friends I had made there rallied around, in support. It was during that time I began calling my UU friends my family of choice. Fast forward to 2008 when I decided to relocate out of Massachusetts. It was suggested to me by, at the time, my friend Bill, now my husband, that I might like the desert of California, which I was like, no, I'm not going to like it, but I'll come out and see it and tell him I hate it and go to Florida, where I thought I was going to end up in the beginning. But my highest priority was to make sure that there was a UU church within a reasonable driving distance. My friends and family back east thought I was crazy to decide to move 3,000 miles away where I knew absolutely nobody except the woman that sold me my house. I knew nobody. But I told them there's a UU church 11 miles from my new house, so I'm going to be fine. Not being UUs, they had no idea what I meant by that. The churches I grew up in meant attending church on Sunday and attending church on the holy days of obligation, operative word, obligation. There was no social interaction of any kind. Almost as soon as I walked in the door here at UUCOD, Shirley Lemaster, who I don't... Is she there? There she is. Okay. She asked me to join the welcoming committee, which is what I had done back at my Massachusetts church. So I got to meet literally everyone that came through the door. I went on to serve on the board, eventually as board president, and got engaged in many committees, activities, and aspects of our congregational life here. In every way imaginable, the UUCOD members and friends became my family of choice. The congregation gave so much more back to me than I felt I gave to the congregation. That continues to be so today. Volunteering and becoming really involved and knowing the love and support of this community is why I choose to pledge. It just fulfills my soul and makes my life so much more meaningful. I want this community to continue to thrive, and that requires that we all give of our time, talents, and treasures as we're able. After all, that's what family is all about.
Joni's a hard act to follow, seriously. But I had a very similar experience to Joni, raised in a very religious Catholic family, one of 9 children. My mother was extremely religious, went to Mass literally every day, said the rosary every night. My younger brother and I were actually the Archbishop's selected altar boys to always serve him. I attended a Catholic school from grade school through my first year in college. That's when I began to question Christianity and its strict dogmas, a little bit earlier than what you did, so, or later, I should say. Yeah. So in 2009, Joni invited me to attend the closing ceremony at the UU in Georgia. She was there with...
Salt Lake City.
Or Salt Lake City, yes.
So.
I don't know why I did Georgia.
Yeah, the General Assembly.
But Reverend Clint McLean was there, who was also one of the founders of this great church, and his picture's in the hallways into the community room if you're interested. Anyway, a reverend, and I hope I don't blow his name, Adi Jamamachi gave the sermon for that particular service. It's hard for me to say, but it was like an awakening for me. He opened the sermon by talking about Star Trek and the latest movie. And the latest movie that was just came out. Now, Star Trek always sort of spoke to me the way it was something in the future where we as humans interact in a multi-sexual, multi-racial, and sometimes multi-planetary organization. So I perked up. He talked during his sermon about how he was born in India. Now, his father was a low-caste Muslim who had the audacity to marry a middle-class Hindu woman. He studied and got his degree in physics. Later in his career, before he joined his ministry, was involved in banking. Very interesting right there individual. He and his wife also were involved in a Unitarian and Hindu sort of a reform group in India. Bottom line, inspirational, powerful, motivating, no dogma, just humanity. Reverend Janamichi closed his sermon with a Hindu prayer that said in part, "May God befall all." Good. Oh, may good. I'm sorry. Thank you. May good befall all. May there be peace for all. May all experience what is good, and let no one suffer. This so reminds me to this day as how Reverend Ian closes the meditation after the joys and sorrow. Then what he did, he closed the sermon by holding up the infamous Vulcan hand signal, which I can't do. You can do it. I can't do it. I've tried. Trust me, I tried. How many can you? A lot of you can do. Oops, a lot of you can do it here. It's not something I could do. But as he was doing that, he also went out and said his famous words, "Live long and prosper." Beautiful. Positive, forward, no negativity. Then a couple weeks later, in a hot July day, I walked through the doors of this church for the first time. And I felt truly welcome. It was not what I had expected. The warm welcome that I felt there at that time, I began to realize that while I love my biological family, just to the moon and back, I also have found here a family of choice, very similar to you. That's why Joni and I pledge financially each year to give what our budget will permit. We also do the same with the way we volunteer for this community, and we get so much satisfaction. Everything from the 24 people that attended the Thanksgiving dinner to the recent toy drive, that Migrant Food and Toy Drive, in which we gave so many toys. And I just wish you could see the joys in those kids' faces when they received their toy. And to know that 60 families would not go hungry throughout the holidays. In the directory, there's a list of committees that I ask each of you maybe to take a look at. And I invite you to see if there's something that interests you and get involved in that, as Joni and I so do. Even if you can't contribute financially to this community, you definitely can contribute your talents to this community. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Joni and Bill. It is wonderful to hear what this place brings to people's hearts, and a great joy to know that people choose each and every day to support this community with their time and their talent and their treasure. And we are currently in the midst of our pledge drive, and if you want to ask some questions about that, I know that Sarita will be out on the patio after the service, and she will be more than happy to answer your questions about the pledge drive. This is the time in our service when we share the joys and sorrows in our hearts, those small and large things that sit with us as we gather together today. And so these are the joys and sorrows of this community on this beautiful, crisp day in February. Cheryl lights a candle of concern for Pam Marr, who was taken to the ER this morning. We're hoping for great healing and health for her. Sandy asks us to please hold her cousin Dodie and her husband in your loving thoughts as he faces the end of his life. My cousin Alec, who is being treated for cancer. Thank you. The Pete family lights a candle saying Catherine Clare's 16th birthday was in December, and Nate and Leo's 13th birthdays are tomorrow. We've been associated for the church for the last 10 years, and we are joyful. Happy birthday, everybody. Sarita and Barb light a candle for their friend Barb W., who has entered hospice, and a candle of joy from Barb and Sarita and from all of us. They say we are joyous as we celebrate our 36th anniversary this week. What an interesting and loving road we traveled together these many years. Happy anniversary. These are the joys and sorrows that we speak out loud, that we write down, but there are those that live in the quiet of our heart, perhaps too timid yet to come to words, perhaps too painful yet to express out loud. And so we pause now in quiet together, gathered here in this space where we strive to welcome all, this space where we know that our human lives are full of joy as they are full of sorrow. They are full of pain as they are of great triumph. We carry all of these things with us at all times. And we know when we come through the doors of a place like this, we are reminded that we are not alone in this, that all of those around us carry joy and pain in their own hearts, and that when we look in each other's eyes, when we feel each other's physical presence next to us, when we touch each other's hands, when we hear each other's breath, we remember that we are not alone. And we remember that what lives and thrives and burns in our hearts and in our spirits is a love that is broader and deeper than we can ever know. A love that holds us all in the face of the strains of the world. A love that comforts us, that brings us joy. A love that reminds us that we are to act in the world for the health and healing and justice of all. A love that just won't let us go. And so we pause for a moment of quiet together in the presence of these beloved people and in the arms of that love which holds us all. We pause in quiet. May all beings know peace. May all beings know an end to suffering. May all beings know love. With that love in our hearts, will you join your voices together as we sing our hymns for meditation, Spirit of Life and Fuente de Amor. last month, when we were spending some time looking back over the year that had just passed, I did my best to look for things that I was grateful for. It was certainly easy to think of things that I wanted to let go of, things that I wanted to burn up in the fire that we shared in this room, mistakes that I'd made, wounds that I'd given or received. It's important to see those things. And it's important to remember and give energy to those that we're grateful for as well, not forcing a toxic positivity that everything's great, but being realistic and honest. I found a lot to be grateful for, and there's one that I've been thinking about this week especially. Early in the pandemic, I was lucky to become part of a knitting circle that started meeting on Zoom. This group had people from all over the country: Washington State, Louisiana, Texas, Connecticut, Illinois, Oregon, and me here in Southern California. Nurses and teachers and tech workers and yarn dyers and fast food workers. We're an interesting bunch, and if you have an image of a knitting circle being a quiet, prim little group, we are not that. Every week late on Thursday afternoon, we gather on Zoom and we share our lives. We share what's on our needles, what new crafting adventures we've embarked on. We laugh a lot, and we just enjoy each other's faces and voices and presence, even though we are separated by a lot of miles most of the time, and some of us have never been in each other's physical presence. We're not doing anything new. People have been gathering around handcrafting for centuries, knitting and quilting and embroidery and sewing, sharing work and stories and the news of the day, teaching techniques and offering praise for work well done. Often we'll bring a project with us to our group where we've made a mistake. We've misread the pattern, or we used the wrong technique, or we dropped a few stitches. Now, of course, we offer each other solace for those disasters, perhaps a word of advice if it's requested. It's not, though, unusual to hear one of us say when a mistake has been confessed, especially if it's way too late to fix it, "That's not a mistake, it's a design decision." And so perhaps we find a way to make it not a mistake. If something is odd in one sock, we make sure to replicate the oddness in the other sock. If we've done increases or decreases on a sweater sleeve differently than the pattern calls for, we make sure to do the same thing on the second sleeve. Mistake is an opportunity to rethink what we're doing. It's not necessarily a disaster. If you look at the ends of a sweater sleeve, or the wrist of a pair of mittens or gloves, or the brim of a stocking cap, or the top of the leg of a sock, you'll often find what we call ribbing. That part of the garment that holds it a little tighter, that contracts a bit. In knitting, this section is made by alternating two different stitches, so a bit of an accordion is formed. If you don't do it exactly right, matching each round or row with the one before it, the ribbing doesn't work. It won't be as snug, it won't contract, and it won't look the same. But inevitably in a knitter's life, we mess it up and knit where we should be purling or purl where we should be knitting. It's just going to happen. It's inevitable. And when it does, you're faced with a choice. As I've talked to you before about this, faced with a choice about tinking, knitting backwards to where it went wrong and reworking it. Or you might take the opportunity to lean into the mistake and invent something new. This is how we ended up with a stitch pattern that we call mistake rib. The knits and purls line up on one side of the fabric, but they are off by a stitch or two on the other side, and something beautiful is created. It doesn't do what ribbing normally does, but it makes a beautiful scarf, for example, nevertheless. Mistakes are inevitable. I want you to listen to that again, and if you remembered nothing else from this morning, remember this. Despite everything we do or don't do, mistakes are inevitable. It's what we do with them afterwards that makes things important. Jazz pianist Herbie Hancock spent part of his career playing in Miles Davis's ensemble. He remembered one night's performance in Stuttgart when Miles was playing a solo and Hancock played the wrong chord. Hancock says that Miles paused for a second, and then he played some notes that made my chord right. Miles was able to turn something that was wrong into something that was right. A miracle, perhaps. Hancock continues to say, what I realize now is that Miles didn't hear it as a mistake. He heard it as something that happened, as an event. And so that was part of the reality of what was happening at that moment, and he dealt with it. Since he didn't hear it as a mistake, he thought it was his responsibility to find something that fit. Now, musicians as a group strive for excellence in our performances. They work to play the right note at the right time with the right dynamic and using the most efficient finger or the right vowel. But much of our love and appreciation for music, both as performers and as listeners, is not come from just what's on the page in front of the musicians, but from the way that individual performers and groups interpret what is there and what has come before them. Especially in jazz, no two interpretations of a song are the same. Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday and Diana Krall are all going to sing the same song in vastly different ways. Dave Brubeck and Herbie Hancock and Brad Meldau are going to play the same song in unique and even quirky ways. Not one of them is wrong, and they're still playing the same song. And so there's a way that musicians can nurture a culture and a technique where making mistakes can lead to new possibilities. It's what we do after that's important. It's how we respond. Bill Evans said, there are no wrong notes, only wrong resolutions. Thelonious Monk said, there are no wrong notes on the piano, just better choices. What's true in jazz and in knitting is true in interpersonal relationships as well, of course. Whether we're thinking about the relationship between a child and a caregiver, between spouses, between neighbors and friends, or colleagues at work, or people in a congregation, mistakes are inevitable. Simply being in relationship is a guarantee that we're going to mess up now and then. The misstep might be small and insignificant, or it might be a whopper, painful all around, but it is inevitable. We miscommunicate, or we act from unconscious motives, or we're selfish, or frightened, or we don't see the whole picture, we're unskilled, or we're anxious. We're going to make mistakes. Just as in jazz and in knitting, it's what comes after that is important. Therapist Jessica Fern writes, in any relationship, ruptures are inevitable. Relationships are not static, but an ongoing flow of harmony to disharmony, rupture and repair, connection, disconnection, and back to connection again. She continues, we are all different from each other, and so we are all eventually going to slip up, make mistakes, say things that we wish we could take back, or forget things that are important to our partners. What matters, she says, is not what mistakes we make, but how we respond to them, how we repair them, how we make our way back to the relationship. She then cites research by the Gottman Institute, which studies couples and their relationships. And the Institute found in their work that happy couples and unhappy couples, this is who they study, and what was different about them was how they worked quickly to repair breaks and bumps in the relationship. Happy couples and unhappy couples all had arguments and fights and disagreements. But the happy couples, especially those described by the Gottmans as masters of relationship, as opposed to disasters of relationship, they said, were the ones in which partners admitted responsibility for their part in the conflict and intentionally moved toward healing, even if they made those moves imperfectly as well. If they were genuine attempts, they made a difference. how we deal with mistakes can make a huge difference in so many areas of our lives. When we can see what didn't go well, be honest with ourselves about our part in it, and make a genuine effort to repair and rebuild relationship, it can make a real difference. Sometimes it can be miraculous. In another congregation I served, a congregant asked one day for a meeting with me. When I sat down with her, it was clear that she was very upset about something. I asked why she wanted to talk with me, and she told me in no uncertain terms that something I had done, actually something I had not done, had been hurtful to her. She felt ignored and disrespected. As she described the situation, I could see clearly that I had messed up quite badly. I still cringe a little bit thinking back a few years. But I paused after she finished sharing. I took a deep breath. I knew I had made a mistake, a pretty big one. And I knew after I took that breath and paused for a moment that I needed to apologize. Straightforward, no excuses, no explanations. So that's what I did. I apologized. I shared with her that I'd heard how what I'd done had been hurtful, and I said I was sorry. Now, it wasn't an instant fix. We didn't leave that room that day delighted with each other. There was a long way to go, but it made a difference that I recognized my mistake and began the work of repair. It took a long while, and our relationship wasn't ever what it had been before. In many ways, though, it was stronger because we had faced this challenge and worked together to rebuild. Reminds me of that Japanese practice of kintsugi, of repairing pottery with visible joinery. Often it's lacquer with gold or silver mixed in. It's impossible to miss where the pottery has been repaired, but there is a beauty to knowing that a craftsperson took the time and care to rebuild this item that was now useful again and also miraculously beautiful. More beautiful, in fact, now that we can see the scars of past breakage. Our hearts, too, and our relationships can be stronger, more complex, and more beautiful when we have faced challenges together and done the work of repair. Mistakes are inevitable. I've said that a lot. I want you to hear that a lot. Mistakes are inevitable. It's true, but we can't let the fear of making them get in the way. Or else we'd never play a note on the piano or pick up our needles to make a stitch or use our pottery or create honest, loving, and resilient relationships. Mistakes can show us where we're making the wrong assumptions or places we need to develop new skills or ways in which past experiences are getting in the way. We can learn deeply about ourselves and our relationships by exploring these mistakes, and in that deepening, that's where the miracles live. In knitting, if I pay attention, I can sometimes see the way that I'm doing something, the way that I'm holding the yarn or making a certain decrease or choosing the needles that I'm going to use. I can see the effect that that is having on the end product, on the fabric that I am making. If I see that and do nothing, well, I'm going to have the same problem over and over again and have to live with this item that may not be what I wanted it to be. But if I can see what I'm doing and work to learn to do it differently, I'm much more likely to get the outcome I'm looking for. And I've learned something that will help me in all of my knitting. Now, it's not that we stop making mistakes over time either, just so you know. We're going to continue to make mistakes. But if we keep making the same mistake over and over, it seems pretty clear that we're not paying attention, not doing the work of honest repair and rebuilding. There's that definition of insanity that says that insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. One of my mentors is fond of saying, "You're not going to stop making mistakes. What we're hoping for is better mistakes." New mistakes. In their powerful book, Mistakes and Miracles, Nancy Palmer Jones and Karen Lynn remind us that congregations are living, breathing human organisms. They are messy, constantly in flux and prone to make mistakes. It's not just in making art or in interpersonal relationships, then, that we can make mistakes. It's a probability in all the work we do as communities. When we come together, even with the greatest of intentions and most meticulous of planning, we can mess up. This congregation has been doing the work of shifting ourselves to becoming more radically inclusive as a community where belonging, possibility, and diversity are at the center of our work in the world. It's hard work. It's long work. And it's work we really, really, really want to get right. But guess what? Mistakes are inevitable. We'll choose the wrong path. We'll bump into each other. We'll forget to pay attention to the needs of others. We'll dive in and find rougher waters than we expected. And this is inevitable. We cannot avoid mistakes. We certainly can't make changes in our hearts and our institutions by studiously avoiding making mistakes. It's likely to be a bumpy road and sometimes painful. But institutions don't only make mistakes. Lynn and Palmer Jones continue, congregations can also be sources of inspiration, comfort, action, and joy. They are not where the fastest change happens on an issue, but they can be where some of the most important and enduring change happens. The authors of Mistakes and Miracles spent several years visiting 5 Unitarian Universalist congregations engaged in the transformative work of anti-racist change, observing and interviewing and analyzing the experiences of these congregations. Their successes, large and small, and their missteps and conflict, sometimes small, sometimes painful. The authors reflected that, quote, over and over, we witness this human longing to find a place of meaning-making and belonging. Over and over, we witness the willingness to wrestle with the realities of a place when it falls short of its aspirations. As part of our work toward belonging, inclusion, and equity, we are reading Mistakes and Miracles together this season. We're hoping that reading about how other congregations have intentionally moved along this path, we may find inspiration, instruction, and reassurance that though the path may be muddy and rough, that we'll be able to move forward together. I would really encourage you to read this book. It's available as an ebook through Amazon and through the UUA bookstore. They were out of print for a while, but I think they have them back. And I have a few hard copies that I can lend out on behalf of the congregation, or you may be able to find someone who you can borrow one from if they've already read it. I'm going to be offering a 3-session in-person reflection class on the book starting next Monday evening here at the congregation. See the newsletter for more details, and I will also be offering the class again by Zoom later in the spring for those who can't come out in the evenings. And there will be lots more opportunities for us to reflect together on this book. Please join in, at least reading the book. The more of us in this conversation, the better we can navigate this work and the deeper our community can become. As I think about mistakes and the miracles of possibility, I'm very reminded that I'm very fond of the music of Canadian poet and songwriter Leonard Cohen. I've listened to his music most of my life since I was a teenager. As a good Canadian, we grew up listening to Leonard Cohen. His lyrics move me and challenge me in ways that a lot of other pop music doesn't. I had his song Hallelujah. You've heard of his song Hallelujah. I had his song Hallelujah sung at my ordination, specifically because of the words that went like this: and even though it all went wrong, I'll stand before the Lord of song with nothing on my tongue but hallelujah, even though it all went wrong. But as important as hallelujah is, and as popular as it has become in our culture, it's not the song, it's not my favorite. It's not the song that lives most deeply in my heart and mind. That song is called Anthem, from his 1992 album called The Future. Anthem is a song about the ills of modern culture, about the ways in which conflict and disagreement and hurt come around again and again. The verses of the song are bracing and painful, pointing at the evils of tyranny and the lawless in high places who say their prayers out loud. There's a universalism at the heart of the song, though, even if it comes at the cost of pain and struggle. He says, every heart to love will come, but like a refugee. And then there is the chorus, which goes like this. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Drawing as he always does from personal experience and his understanding of the ancient wisdom of Judaism and Buddhism, Cohen sees that everything is imperfect. Nothing is unbroken, but that is where the beauty and the strength and the miracle come from. The imperfections that allow possibility and love to enter in, the broken places which invite us to respond in new and newly connected ways. The imperfection is universal. Mistakes are inevitable. But what is also universal is the opportunity that our mistakes, big and small, offer us for possibility, for repair and healing, for new and miraculous connections. From our mistakes can come learning. From our mistakes can come new designs. From our mistakes can come beautiful music. If we acknowledge them, if we face them with hope and trust, and choose kindness and love in response. May it always be so. I invite you to sing once again. Will you rise, please, in body or in spirit as we sing Joyce Poley's beautiful song, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
Holy place, when our heart is in
We extinguish his flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are here again.
Musicians and poets inspire us and remind us of the depth of our connections and the breadth of the possibilities of our lives. There are no wrong notes, proclaimed Miles Davis. It's what we do next that's important. Leonard Cohen calls us to ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. In the beauty of the cracks, in the knowledge that we can choose what we do next, in the light that streams through our broken and still miraculously shining hearts. Go in peace, my friends, to love and serve the world.